Hello everyone. Today we are going to see lecture number 3, that is the series in SQL that we started before. Okay, and before getting to that, we are going to recall what we have discussed before. Okay, and I welcome you to my channel, that is Mean Life Studies. Okay, and I hope that you will support my channel to get more information from me. Okay, we'll start. In lecture number 1, that is SQL lecture number 1, we started with the very basic concepts. That is, what is data, what is information, what is database, what database management system, and RDBMS, and types of RDBMS and SQL. See, we'll just have a brief recall of this. What is the data? A data is nothing but just a value or recorded value, or we can say it is a factual value. For example, we had discussed like consider two apples over there, and if you are moving in this direction, then you found these two apples are there. So by looking at these two apples, what you can find? You can find these are two apples and those are in red color. Just I'm just saying example for that. Okay, these are the factual values. So how can you find without knowing, without tasting it? I mean, without eating these apples, how can you know that these are taste? So this taste is nothing but a measured value. Okay, I mean you have to go to these apples and you just eat this and you know, right? Then only you know either these apples or taste like sweet or hot, whatever. It could be anything, right? Now, and also one more thing, you in order to find out the weight of yeah, each apple, you have to use some weighing machine and you have to find the weight of these apples. So those are called as measured values. You cannot find by looking at it, right? So these are factual values, and weight and what taste, these are measured values. So what we can define, you can define a data, it's nothing but the factual or measured values. Okay, it's just a value. We call it as data. And what is information? For example, if you consider these two and rate, these are just individual data. Okay, and if you consider this as count of apples, and this is color of apple. So if you define with particular variable to this value, then this is called as color of apple is red. Then the number of apples are 2. Okay, this conveys some information, right? So we call it as information. Okay, for example, you can see here as well, if you consider the weight of apples, for example, 500 grams, and taste is sweet. See, but individually you can say these are 500 grams and sweet. It is not conveying any information. It is just a data, right? But when you assign this as weight of apples, weight equal to 500 grams, weight of apples. For example, this is taste of apple. So this conveys some information, right? What I mean to say, whenever you have a data and if you assign the variable to this data, then that conveys a information. Okay. Now, what is database? A database is nothing but just storage place, storage location, where we'll be storing all data, right? Now, what is DBMS? That is database management system. See, what we are doing in database, we have to store, update, and delete whatever we want to do. All actions will be done in this database, right? But by using a system that is called as software, okay, DBMS, database management system, it is a software tool, and by using this software tool we are going to create databases, and we create and modify in the databases. Okay, this is software tool, that is where we use this software tool to create and update and databases. And in databases, we are going to store all amount of data. I mean, any data. Okay. Now, in these databases, we'll be storing our data in file format. Okay. And this is a little bit complex and time taking to save, I mean, to store the data and retrieving the data. Okay, and to avoid these things, we are going through RDBMS, that is Relational Database Management System. In this database management system, it is also a software tool where all data will be stored in the format of tabular formats. Okay, now if you consider these are rows, right? And this is a column. Okay, now you can see here these are columns and these are rows. See, all the values in these boxes are called as data, or we call it as recorded values. Now, for example, here color, weight, number of apples, and what else we have count number of apples, weight, and taste. See, these are all are color is factual and weight is measured, number of is factual and taste is measured. See, if you are going through in such a way, then you find different apples. So you are writing something color red, weight you have to go and you have to check it right by measuring with some weighing machine. You'll be writing some 500 grams, a number of apples, and taste you have to eat it and you'll find it is sweet. Likewise, you'll be writing, okay, these all called as data. And as and when if you assign this to this particular, then that is conveying data, like data is conveying to information color of apple. So you are moving in such a direction so that you'll be finding different locations, that location 1, location 2, location 3, that is apple locations. So these are considered as apple locations. So this is the information regarding this apple one, like color, weight, and number of and taste. So likewise, if you observe, there is a relationship between rows and columns, right? So you'll be defining like this as AL1's color is red, AL1's weight is 500 gram. Likewise, you can define it here. This is how we will be building some relations with rows and column, and this data will be stored in this databases. I mean, those are called as RDBMS. Sorry, RDBMs and RDBs, relational databases, and the software that we used as Relational Database Management System. Okay. Now we have different types of relational database management system. Those are MySQL, Postgres, and SSMS, SQLite, Oracle, and many more. Okay, these all software tools that we use to create and modify the data. I mean the databases. In databases, what we are storing the data only, right? So, but we'll be defining or we'll be storing a relational data. I mean tabular data. So those are called as relational database management systems. Okay, because of there is a relation between rows and columns. Okay, now you can see here SQL. This is very important. This is a structured query language where we'll be using this will be using in each and every database management systems. Okay, and by using this language we are going to communicate with databases. Okay, now you can see here RDBMS, SQL, and database. See, we have to create a database, we have to modify the database, right? And how can we do that? By using this language. And where we are using this one in RDBMS. Okay, and see, we have to communicate these databases not directly by using by using SQL query language. This is a programming language which we use to communicate with databases. Okay, I hope you understand all these things, basic concepts. Okay, now we'll go to next one. Okay, now in second lecture we discussed basic commands in SQL, that is DDL, data definition language, data modification language, data retrieval language, data control, and transact control language. Okay, in these are very important commands that we use everywhere, uh, okay, to create and alter, doing anything. Okay, these are the main commands like data definition language, and this is in the level of defining. We are going to defining anything, I mean creating a table or creating a database, whatever. Okay, it is in definition language we are going to create it, and it is also altering, I mean we are going to changing their names, changing data types, and changing whatever we want. Okay, that's what where we'll be using alter command. Now it is a drop. A drop will be used to delete the entire object that we created, right? That we created an object in, that is nothing but the data, I mean tables. Okay, table we created and we need to drop, then we have to use this, I mean for to delete everything, data and as well as the structure. So you have to use drop. And the use truncate means a truncate will delete all data present in an object. I mean, in a table, we have the schema or structure and data, right? And truncate will be used to delete all data, not the structure, and the structure will be remains there. In case of DML, we used insertion command. See, here we have created a table. I mean, we created a structure of the table, and then in the next step, what we are doing, we are inserting data into that particular object. I mean, table. Next, we want to update it, then we have to use update keyword. Next, if we want to delete a particular number of rows, we have to use delete. But it cannot be used to delete all at a time. Likewise, which is used in truncate. Similarly, truncate cannot be used to delete a particular number of rows. As and when if we use truncate, it will delete entire data at a time. But it cannot be, uh, see, if you use delete, it will also delete entire data. But even if you want to delete a particular number of data, you can use delete command. Okay, but if you use a drop, it will delete entire data and the structure. Okay, that is a very important thing to you should understand. Okay, next, data retrieval language. See, select command we will be using, I mean to retrieve all data as per our requirements, we will be using DRL, I mean select command. Next, these two are mostly inclined towards database admins, okay, or SQL developers. I mean giving access to see, data control language is giving access, I mean grant, and taking access from the users, that is revoke, grant and revoke. Now this is the transaction see last, that is TCL, transact control language. See, commit will be used to, if we do any changes in any file, that will be reflected if you use commit. Okay, I mean the updations will be saved if you do commit. And if you don't want to save that, then you will be I mean if changes won't be reflected, then you have to use rollback. Okay, and the save point, you can use save point for saving updations. Okay, I hope this is understandable, right? Next, we'll go to next one. Okay, in today's lecture, that is lecture number 3 in sequence series, see, we will discuss data types. What are data types and constraints? See, we have a data and we stored in a tables. So each data will be having, data is nothing but values, right? It could be anything. We discussed like number of apples to, and taste is sweet, weight is 500 grams, and color is red, right? See, these are nothing but values. Okay, see, this can be 250.5 grams also, it can be anything. See, this is a text, this is a number, this is a text, and this is a integer, or we can say this is float or decimal, right? Likewise, a data are values having different data types. It has to follow some uh, there could be having some types of data. Okay, like it can be integer, it can be character, it can be varchar, it can be float, money, decimal, okay, date, time, and so on. There are a lot more, but these are the very important things that you should understand. See, integer, it's just a number, okay, and we'll be using this as number, right? So character has to use character of, if he should represent with size, character of 5 and character of 2, okay. If you use a character, then that particular data type, column, these all data types are we are using to apply to particular column, right? So that column has to follow this data type, okay. And if you use character of 5 means you have to use that particular column value should be only 5 characters or only 2 characters here, okay. But in order to overcome this disadvantage, we'll be using varchar. If you use varchar of 10, it will accept, the particular column will, the column value will accept 0 to 10. Up to 10 it will accept, but beyond that it won't accept. Okay, we'll be having text as well, data types. See, all these data types will be used for different types of columns. Okay, if it could be a name, then it is varchar. If it is a salary, then we can use integer or money. Or if it is a joining date, then we will be using date time. If it is anything, okay, if it is a interest, then we can use float or decimal. Likewise, we will be having different types of data types to define that particular column. Okay, let's see next constraints. See, these constraints are nothing but set of rules. Set of rules. So we define a data type, for example, name and varchar. We define any size 10. See, this is a column name, and we define this column name value should follow this varchar. This data type. Now what we are doing, now we are also providing some more rules so that these values should follow this rule, and these rules are nothing but constraints. Okay, for example, if I mention this as null, this name value, these are the values, right, uh, that will enter into the table. So as and when if you mention the data type, this name should follow this data type as well as this constraint. See, it could be null as well. Names could be null. It can also accept null values. It can also accept not null values like Mahindra or anything. Okay. As and when if you mention this constraint, it should follow this constraints. It should not be like it won't allow not null. No, it's not. As and when if you allow null means it could be a not null or it could be null. Okay, but if you mention it is not null, then these all values should follow this. All values should not be null. Okay, if you mention this as not null. Likewise, we have null, not null, and primary key. What is a primary key? A primary key is nothing but it should be a, this, for example, if you mention this as primary key here, then this column name, this column value should be follow this primary key. This set of rules. And how can you define that? Primary key is nothing but it won't accept any null values and it won't be any duplicate values. No duplicates. Okay, these are the set of rules that this column should follow if you define this column as primary key. Okay, next, foreign key. A foreign key is developing a relation with another tables. Okay, if you mention this as foreign key, then this column will be a attachment, or it is a relation with another table, and you should not delete this without deleting that particular column in another table. For example, if you see, if you define this as primary, sorry, foreign key here, then it will be a relationship with another table. Then that particular table is called as parent table, and we should not delete this column until unless you delete this particular column in parent table. Okay, this is called as child table. Okay, this is foreign key. Foreign key is building some relations with another table, as well as we cannot delete that without deleting that particular column in parent table. Okay. Now unique. Unique is nothing but unique. It won't, distinct. See, if you mention this name as unique, then it will accept null, it will accept not null, but it should be unique. Okay, you can see here not null and unique is defining as primary key. Okay, primary key means it should not be a null and it should be distinct, not a duplicate. Okay, check. This is another constraint in see, we will use this constraint to define particular name, particular column. Okay, should be following, if you defining check of name should be like this many characters, or salary should be this, or age should be this. Okay, we will be checking, okay, but that particular columns, okay, with using check constraint default. See, if you define a default, then it will, that particular column by default is taking that particular default values. Okay, if you define default, we will be mostly using these four in our creation of databases and doing all these things. Okay, mostly, but we should know these things also. Okay, see, these are the data types and constraints are very important concepts in SQL. These are the basic pillars to defining our, we are going to create doing all these things in databases. So you have to remember these things. Okay, and I hope this is understandable for you. Okay, and thanks for watching.